All right, all right, all right. We are only more than an hour past schedule, but this is the First Friday Poetry Spectacular, coming to you live from Karma Cafe in Canton, Ohio. We've got a small crowd this month. I'm okay. We've got a bigger crowd than what we had last week at the Root and Slam. We got that much going for us. I think we might have kind of overstressed or over poetried, whatever you want to call it. We've had so many poetry events going on the last few weeks, especially with the Slam team fundraisers and whatnot. So, yeah, and also here in Canton right now, this is Hall of Fame weekend, so traffic's a real pain in the butt, and yeah. But anyways, by joining us this evening, you are accepting certain risks. Members of our audience may be exposed to the deadly toxin known as words. Side effects of exposure may include communication, discourse, compassion, empathy, and understanding. Words can be weaponized and have been known to bring about civil unrest, propaganda, revolution, and daytime television. By attending tonight's performance, you acknowledge these risks and will not hold the Poets Haven, Lake Effect Poetry, or Karma Cafe liable for any consequences that may occur. I don't think it's an issue based on everybody who's here, but hey, this is an unmoderated show. You might hear some cuss words. Okay. I'll open the open mic since we've got a really short list. Okay. I'm going to read a piece by Corey Mikesell that anybody who regularly watches the show has heard me do about 100 times, but this is by Corey Mikesell from last year's Slam team. It's called Soapbox Clean. What I hear when the hate-mongering religious zealots show up on my campus each year. When you proclaim to know the ultimate truth of the universe, what I actually hear you say is, I like to yell about things I don't understand, screamed from a blowhorn attached to half a man, so squeaky clean that even when he dreams, he must have that Arm & Hammer soapbox sheen. When I see your sign proclaiming God hates fags, I hear you whisper that once, when you were 15, you caught a glimpse of your best friend undressing through a slightly ajar bedroom door and lingered there just a moment longer than any God-fearing heterosexual should have. When you called that little girl clinging tightly to her physics textbook a terrorist because she wore a burqa, I hear the disclaimer, if Jesus were here today, he would bitch slap me across the face for the shit I'm about to say about gays and Jews and spics and kikes and all the people not my preferred shade of pearly white. When you declare any woman using birth control to be a whore, I imagine the sky breaks open and it rains condoms for 40 days and 40 nights, and a voice like that of Samuel L. Jackson comes booming from the heavens, exclaiming, shit, son, you really need to get laid. As my friends know, I don't believe. Compassion is the only God I can see. I'm here today to say that being the loudest doesn't make you the consensus. I'm here to say that spewing hate publicly does not justify a vitriolic ideology. It took me 20 years to realize that certainty is not a virtue to me. So I started my own church. One word, doubt, is our philosophy. We are filled with doubt because doubt is honest and doubt is real, and doubt doesn't fly planes into buildings with unrelenting zeal. We refuse to believe fear has anything to do with love, and we have no idea whether this is ordained from above. That's why our gospel is one line that says, hold someone you love close today because tomorrow might not come. We have no interest in being soapbox clean. The spots and smudges are what make us one of a kind masterpieces. At my church, everyone has the right to preach, but no one opens their mouths. We let our footprints be our speech. We worship every Italian grandmother who has ever prepared a meal for 25. We worship every firefighter that didn't make it out alive. We worship every father who has picked up extra shifts to give his daughter braces and a boost in self-confidence. We worship every friend who has stayed on the phone until 3 a.m. to listen to someone cry and then never mentioned it again. Most of all, we worship anyone who has ever dared to love without the approval of society. No, our gods don't walk on water. Some can't even swim, but they have all taught me more about love than this man's hate philosophy ever could. All right, open mic, open mic. All right, Kara Lee.
The Way I Feel by Nikki Giovanni. I've noticed I'm happier when I make love with you and have enough left over to smile at my doorman. I've realized I'm fulfilled like a big, fat cow who was just picked for carnation contentment when you kiss your special place right behind my knee. I'm as glad as mortar on a brick that knows another brick is coming when you walk through my door. Most time when you're around, I feel like a note Roberta Flack is going to sing. In my mind, you're a clock, and I'm the second hand, sweeping around you 60 times an hour, 24 hours a day.
All right, next up is Akeem Rollins.
Okay. All right. So I wrote a Sestina Villanelle, 6 stanzas, 6 lines, 6 words. At the end. It's really hard, and it's about Newt Gingrich because I was reading up about him, and I actually have been writing this for a very, very long time. So it took a long time to finish, and I still have to edit it. So it's not good yet, but I wrote it. It's called "The 12 Curses on Newt Gingrich." 1. You wouldn't understand white privilege now, not even if we voodooed you, transmorphed you into a black woman with 2 degrees and a master's. That's not what this poem's about. May you tolerate these shadow spells. 12 curses on Newt Gingrich's home. Historian, author, professor, historical fiction writer, Speaker of the House, and son of a bitch. Defective, a little piece of privilege. Your mouth is dreadlock twisted with backwards morals and gay hate. 3 quotes from Newt Gingrich's ignorance. Please, just tolerate the affair, Maria said to his second wife, bold, you're a Jaguar, need a Chevy. I cheated on my wife because I love America too much. 4. May you tolerate these curses, Newt. May gay children hang themselves clean in your closet. May you rest. May their eyes pop on each suit. May each suit hold them. May you wear every single one. May the conservative bird-like voters who bathe in your moral speeches learn of your filthy affairs. May your wives dance free as love. May love forget your name. May children always vote liberal. May you learn, may you tolerate, may you accept every fractured person, every kind of love we make. May you hold every mistake dizzy and make peace with hating yourself.
All right, next up, Andy Line.
It's not funny anymore. I'm actually shrinking, so it's super not funny. I was 5'1", now I'm 4'11". Okay, so this is a new poem, brand new poem, unedited. So, yeah. New shit. I'm going to steal Akeem's line. It's not good, but I wrote it. It's called Codependent. I know it's a little clingy, a little needy, but I never felt like my books were close enough to me until I got them needle stained into my skin. I carry no less than 3 in my purse at any given time. I never know which one will call to me, so I can't risk being without any of them. I fall asleep with them like multiple lovers clutched in bookmark fingertips and awake with them corded in my arms, falling off the mattress, tucked into pillowcases. Books don't care if you're socially awkward and unrefined. If you get too excited about them, come on a little strong, think and talk about them incessantly, and need to be touching them at all times. It is their purpose to mesmerize. The end.
Okay. Trying to get somebody else up here, but guess not. All right. That brings us to tonight's feature poet. From Columbus, representing the Writer's Block Poetry Slam, ladies and gentlemen, Louise Robertson.
I'm nervous about reading for you all. Before I came, I was a fan of Akeem's. Now I'm everybody's fan, but really big fan of Akeem. He's very impressive. However, I'm going to start with a request from my son, who I dragged here. So if I'm going to drag him here, I'm going to do the poem he wanted to hear. And I haven't done it for a long time, and it may not be as good as he remembers. I have 4 voices I use for reading the kids' bedtime stories. The father, get in the car. The mother, my babies. The toad, blah, where is my pink button? And the possum, let's have a harvest moon soiree. And it's this last faux southern harvest moon accent I hear and use at the worst times, reading Shakespeare. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds. Reading C.S. Eliot, let us go then, you and I. And reading the work of anyone after a couple glasses of buttery Chardonnay, especially Back in the Hood poems, or My Daddy is Worse Than Your Daddy poems, or I Am Woman, Hear Me Snark My Man Out poems, my harvest moon voice is as big and orange and fake-seeming as a real harvest moon. It's also the one that makes me wonder the most. Being adopted, I heard my biological mother was from the South. I heard she spent time in Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tallahassee. So, is this what voice I'm hearing? I like to listen to people when they speak like their mother. A white Midwest American becomes a broken German English soliloquy. A hip-hop rap turns into a lullaby of cases and tenses. Is that what voice Shakespeare used when he made his one-draft sonnets? And so, to those cool cats of verse, to those heavyweight champs of the word, when you hear my harvest moon voice rise and you snicker, I protest. It is the highest compliment I could give when I put on the fairy voice and try to breathe out of the top of my lungs and recite William Carlos Williams like, so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow. Oh, heck, sugar. Come on now. Let's go out and look at the moon like a paint splat in the trees. I just want to hear speech in the in the base language. In the beginning was the word, and I was with the word. Mother. I think Andrew thought there was a lot more toad in that poem. It's just one line, buddy.
You should write a poem about the button.
The what?
The button and the
Button and the toad. Well, I'm ripping off frog and toad there, so yeah. You said I could be grown up here, right? I'm not going to turn it all the way to 11, but hopefully this is a nice poem to hear. Why I broke up with you, reason number 6. I broke up with you because I love to write love letters. I love to put the roll of your finger in my mouth. I love to mention salt and thirst and thirstier. I love to state that without you, everything would be difficult. I love to press the moment forward, to note tension when one hip almost touches another. Test it, force it. You can break through it. I love to breathe air that was your air, to rub wrist bone, to bring you to your full height with words alone. When your mouth takes in meat, I am that meat and bone, pulled on, spread apart. Sometimes writing a love letter is the art of smell, so the latex condom of the dorm room can be recalled by wet paint. Your wet paint love, your slick love, your tight glove love. Once I decided to write a letter based entirely on sound. What sounds like sex? I wrote the bathwater lapping the sides of the tub, the creak and thump of the bed, your grunt, the stretch of lips on teeth. Now I know that last one's not a sound, but it is my second favorite thing to see. A proof how if A equals joy and B equals me, somehow B plus X equals A, where X equals whatever you want it to be. The back seat of a 1972 Chevy Impala, my desk, the handicap stall with the handy stiff bar, penthouse stairwell, poolside, ringside, Marcus Theater, number 12 side. But there I went too far. I slipped past the you and me, past backing me into a wall for a kiss, past keeping track of whose turn it was to give whom head, past seeing another girl sit on your lap and wanting to throw up. So, you are no longer the object of my love letters, but instead the audience of love poems whom I do not love enough to write them for, and anything else would be leading you on. Andy mentioned that our favorite number was 3. Is that correct still? So here is a poem sort of off the song 3 is the Magic Number, which is one of the Schoolhouse Rock ones. It's called Teaching My Daughter My Language, which is the title poem for a chapbook I published in 2003 out of Pudding House. Good luck trying to get anything out of them right now. I think they have a lot of trouble right now. And the quote at the beginning is, a man and a woman had a little baby. That's Bob Donna, sorry. Teaching my daughter my language. Man and a woman had a little baby. She asks, and I bring the words out. At first they were tin and fur and gull. Then I told her about prefixes like ped, as in pedal, as in that word has feet, it can go. Try means 3, as in the magic number. A man and a woman had a little baby. Now we are at inchoate, unformed, unlanguaged, a hawk scream in the air, transparent. The wind is transparent, opaque, that which stops the sun. Your body, I tell her. My body and yours, she tells me. Decompose, breaking down. The earth collects the decompositions of leaves, sticks, bodies. Later, there will be other words I can't teach her, the same way my mother didn't even know to teach us. Anorexia, bulimia, bipolar disorder, speedball, crack cocaine, crystal meth. H. A man and a woman had a little baby. And the second of three of poems I still read out of this is if you know Rose Smith, this is her favorite poem of mine, if that's a recommendation. It's called Locust Pods. Inspired by a homeless man. Biting a peach and finding its pit broken already is like splitting the long, dry locust tree pod, is like the spread of a woman's vagina when giving birth. People are like the inhabitants of the bus stop bench. We appear with our bodies and clothes and bags and disappear, leaving residues of oil and hair, sometimes piss. We are also like the locust tree pods that darken and curl and litter the ground, making an impact with our numbers, regardless of our individual DNA twists like the aged pod, like the cupped leaf. There are so many of us. What matter is it if a few are different, like the leaves which in summer drop and fade to yellow, while all around their green brethren wave and flap? When death, that bus, arrives, all of us, witnessed or not, bored, leaving that residue, that sap, that split open self. I was at a reading where the guy before me was like all over the word bifurcated, right? And I'm like, yeah, let me use the word split. I did that poem. I'm like, in your face, split, bifurcated. Okay. I have chapbooks, $5 in the back, and I'm gonna read it. Yeah, I stapled them myself.
Staple them yourself.
This is the first completed version of this, and I have others later, but there we were at the mall, and you said it again with all your 12-year-old authority. Mom, you're embarrassing me. I, for one, was too loud and worse in public, and all I could do was turn to you and say, you have no idea what I am capable of. I used to wear crisp clothes, every piercing step, so skinny, hair cut strand by strand. I used to think of volume, earrings, jeans pegged, whatever, fashion, but I am no cherry, shiny, slim girl. I got pregnant on purpose twice. I grew hormone big. I grew open in front of God and bigots and pigs and regular men and everyone with child. How many pounds? 32. I stared 32 pounds in the eye and did not blink. I did it drug-free. And that was a gift for you, my girl. I lay open in that hospital room, ripped self and body unzipped for you. No drugs, no epi, blood all down my legs, sister pushing on my lower back, all for you into this world. If there's one thing I can do, kiddo, it's pain. It's pain and skin stretched, and I did it for you. You know what it's like to breastfeed? It's weird. I did that. I let you push against me, wipe your snot face on my skin. I sang in front of people. More to the point, it was nothing. Less than a sniff. Dirty hair or pissed on shirt is nothing when your kid is vomiting all over the car or too hot or failing to open her eyes or not breathing. So if you think I'm a little loud, child, in this mall with these thrift store jeans, bones padded on hip and arm alike with 10 leftover pounds. If you think loud is gonna stop me, think again. Girl, for you, I am capable of anything. I'm supposed to add teeth. I'm like, but that's kind of the poem, you know. Like, you know, how other things, lots of terrible things to happen to women when they get pregnant. Like their men leave or they start to get beaten up. And I'm having trouble doing that, partly because my experience was, I was kind of isolated, but not because of all these terrible things that I can point to. So I'm having trouble owning an experience that wasn't mine. I always do. I just have to make it third person when I do that. I just like, I am very mindful of appropriating someone else's experience. So like my poem about living with HIV is all third person, but it works, but it's very hard to, and then I have a poem about 19th century prostitution, which I did a lot of research for, but I still projected as if it were a different life because, I don't know, it's just very, as a fan of poetry of witness, I think it's very important to be a witness, but it's also important not to say or to suggest that I just want to get it right that I'm not trying to appropriate someone else's experience. That's all. I'm going to try something a little bit experimental here. It is. It's called Honda Civic. Is that okay? My Honda did a wonderful thing, and I appreciate it. So I wrote my Honda poem. I noticed I'm driving a Prius. The car hit it going 50 miles an hour. He was in the car. So I wrote this from the car's point of view. Yeah, if it's an inanimate. Okay, if you ever want to know the trick to doing a 30-30, here's the trick. You pick forms or something. My pick is to do persona poems from a non-human point of view the whole month. So you sit there, what the hell am I going to write about? Oh, basket, pen. And sometimes you just end up writing what you wouldn't have written. And, I would stain on my shirt. Oh, good, that's a good one. And that, So if you ever do a 30-30 and you're really stuck, just pick a shtick and a trick and do all of them like that. And it goes really quickly. What? They're not always the most productive, but it's important to understand your process more, but you won't get the best poems out of them. They're very hit or miss. They're mostly about learning the way you do things. And so I'm a bigger fan of the 5/7s. If you're really trying to move forward, write for an hour a day, 5 days a week. You'll write something. And it's hard, but it's not every day, and you're not killing yourself. Anyway, Honda Civic. I will never be angry with you, not even for wiping your snot on the seat. Not for the melted toy, not for the car sick, not for the open window in a rainstorm, not for the swiped fender, not for the pulled cord, not for the radio stations you chose, not for the homemade CDs, not even for rear-ending that loony driver. You slotted your body into me, a sheath. You strapped your children down on my flat back seat. You slid the moonroof back. You ran the music till it buzzed. I was a bedroom. You sped. You ran with me to the beach. You ran me with me down that dark highway, spangled stars on the domed night above us. You ran with me. Look at me. Look at my body. That Lincoln pancaked my trunk, floor folded in half like a clap. It was like someone picked me up and threw me into that other car. My nose punched in, my airbag deployed, whiff of brimstone in the air. I dropped my antifreeze like piss on the ground. Look at me, like piss on the ground. Door stuck, window cracked like lightning. I will never be angry with you. I was your helmet. I broke, piss on the ground. Split engine broke, back wheel gone, broke like air is broke when you're choking, broke like a thing that can't be fixed. Look at me. I will never be angry with you. I was your freedom. I was your lungs, a pocketbook, a trash can, a spit jar, a rag, a joke, a steed, a triumph, a new thing, a fast going. I was triumph. I was a cost, a crutch, a reason I was leaving him. I was independence. I was sigh. I was the wrong color, right music. You loved me. I will never be angry. Look at me. Look at me. I was your car. I will never be angry with you. I don't know how much time lost. I just keep going, but let me know. Okay. Halfway. Okay, I can keep going. I've got thousands of poems. Just let me go. I can talk. Hi, how you doing? Carol Lee, huh? That's my son, Andrew. You're hungry? For what? Revolution. Okay, there you go. Power to the people. White girl says. Okay. White girls are the most easy to navigate most environments, right? Because especially if you're pretty and young. When I was 18, I could get into any bar. It was really like, I kind of quickly realized, like, if you want to put on a suit, to like, you're probably best if you had to go anywhere in the world. White girl is probably the easiest, least threatening. So they thought, you know. God, I got into bars in D.C. The age was 18, and I was 17, and I had acquired a voting thing because you could get them early if your birthday was before the next election. So I got a voter's card. Oh, I forgot my ID, but I have this voter card. They let me in. It's just really silly. 18-year-old or 17-year-old, I guess. But no, not 13. Though I looked 13 from age 9 to age 24. So it was terrible. I had a pedophile stalker when I was 22, and he's like, "You're not a minor? What?" And he'd go to my workplace and leave child pornography there for me, and he'd follow me, and so I'm like, "Oh shit." So I look really old now, but I am old. And so I just started dressing like I wore heels and hose, and he stopped following me. That was one of my 4 stalkers. I think the thing about me is I don't say yes, I don't say no, I say maybe, and that hooks everyone. But this poem is totally different. It's called Pumpkins. It's a racist. It's a race poem, whatever. Everything I say is racist. I'm white. Okay. So, pumpkins. Today it's pumpkins, those orange, cold, dirt-crusted, hollow-sounding, pie-causing orbs. That's the topic. So you want to talk about race. Make as if it were a pumpkin, as if you could pick it up and thump it and sniff it and knock it all around, then set it down, open the door, and put it on the concrete. Today it's pumpkins, and tomorrow I'm sure it will be watermelons, equally thumpable, yet so often made into something more than watermelons, and so you can never say the word watermelons without calling out sweat, bit lip, cracked skull, roped neck. That is to say, you can't put the watermelon on the backyard concrete, not like you can with a pumpkin. These are short. Hail Mary, Hail Marys. I only knew about Hail Marys and acts of contrition, worried plastic beads smooth, toked on holy smoke. I ate what they put on my tongue. I went to Sunday school on Tuesdays, but I went. I went until they laid hands on me, and even though my body was there, that's when I stopped going. She does not know it, but my mother showed me the way out. So hail, mother, full of backbone, hallowed be thy shut mouth. You stood up to nuns and to old men who kept me to themselves, all that black cloth. She does not know it, but hail, mother, for getting me after school and calling up the people in charge and telling them she was taking us all out of class. I wish she had the guts to tell them why, but it was good enough that she knew how to rescue a family. The Lord is with thee. Hallowed be thy quick thinking. Blessed art thou for knowing how to get out of town in a green station wagon headed to upstate New York with 4 kids, 5 suitcases, and a box of Triscuits for 2 weeks. It broke something. Pray for me. I left the church, even though my body went there for years. I only knew about Hail Marys, but my mom, she knew how to pray. This may not sound like it, but it's a love poem from my parents. How he said it. He didn't seem to like to eat, and that woman did. She ate eggs, butter, toast, like every grain made song on her tongue. She'd say, if you put sauce on, he would carefully scrape it off. What did I know about their marriage? I thought, how could he do that to her food, a dismantling, worse than saying no? Then in the ICU, after emphysema popped all the strength from his lungs, made his body hollow, though with no wind to sing or talk. When he coughed up brown mucus, when he thought himself a small boy again, he tried to eat for her. The jello slipped out of his mouth, at once failure and statement of purpose. And I'll do another poem sort of about my mom, as long as I did those 2. Also, Andrew kind of wanted to hear, or it was his sister. No, I can't do that one. I can't. It's a Nat's poem. So. Okay, this is for Carolyn then. And you really only wanted the line where I go blah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Blah, where is my big button? I would like to sew a shirt for Andrew. It will be small and skinny. Okay. Uh, Frog, that's exactly what I'm stealing from. I'm actually totally ripping somebody off there, so I shouldn't. Okay. Ignore my emerging fat body. The difficult, well, it's also about someone he cares about. And he doesn't want to hear that stuff. So I don't do them so much in front of him. But I have my point of view, right? This isn't that. This is my 1 minute poem, my go-to 1 minute poem. Well, no, I have a bunch of them, but this is one of them. This used to be my only really go-to 1 minute poem. It's called Asparagus. My mother taught me how to lie. It's like breaking asparagus. Snap, pop, done. Keep it simple, no big stories. I have this advice along with other tools honed by generations of use. Not too much makeup, don't name names, and never write it down. Trouble is, I want to write it down. I want to get it exactly right. This is exactly what it feels like when a child gets her first pair of glasses. This is what it feels like to stand on the sidelines. And this is what it feels like to watch your brother die. To see your father rock and rock and rock himself on the couch. And so now it's my job to learn not only how to tell the truth, but also how to teach my mom. Keep it simple. No big stories. It's like breaking asparagus. Snap, pop, done. Yeah, she really totally taught me how to lie. She's like, okay, if you're gonna lie, make it boring and no, like, I'm going to the dentist and nobody will ask you. If you start elaborating, they'll be like, oh, tell me more. But if you don't elaborate, you just keep it simple. So, good advice, mummy.
I find the trick is don't ever lie at all. Just emphasize selected portions of the truth.
Fair enough.
Oh, I have an appointment.
Oh.
Appointment was not. I have an appointment.
Don't lie to your mother. Keep it simple. You really shouldn't lie, but it's easier not to. But if you have to, right? If you're going on a job interview and you don't want to tell your boss, you say, I have a dentist appointment. And no one is going to ask you. So there are situations when it's more graceful to. So, a job interview. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this is called. This title is Step 1: How to Name Your Fairy Tale Character. Make her name long enough and strange enough, not the sort of name grunted by an office mate, nor tacked onto a command from a boss, nor insinuated into a limp come on. Make it so someone has to know your character before they say her name, before they put their tongue to their teeth and invoke her. Rapunzel, Snow White, Briar Rose. Make it so there is no casual circumcision, no cutting of her name to some common stump. Make it so people don't even know how to turn it into a nickname, nor make themselves too familiar with it. Make it a name whispered at night, as heavy as the hand that reaches for her body, as heavy as the hand that is wanted. Make it rib bone, make it flute, make it sucked on sugar cube. Put a Z in it if you can. Make people stick to it to force the typist to curl his pinky in just to touch the right key. That is to say, make it something that can be touched, but not easily. Let it grow old. Let it be sweet and strong and hot and scary. Baba Yaga, Cinderella, Gretel. Make her name hard to spell. Make them memorize the shape of it with their throat, a sword in their windpipe, ice going down cold and new. Make it all these things. Own it. Be it. Make it your only bed to sleep on. Find it in your name and your daughter's name and your mother's name as she wastes away alone in her blue suburban tower. But most of all, make it love. However it is you say love, that is how you start a fairy tale. Izetta likes that poem because of the Z thing. Okay, this one is for the guys, I guess. That's dumb. Yeah, yeah, Babsha. That's a Polish for. This is another grown-up poem. I think my son is not old enough to get this. Well, maybe he is, but he hasn't told me. This is not for him at all. It's for someone else entirely. You don't know. Not that one, but this is my favorite right now of those. Your First Erection, a love poem. You can close your ears. I met you too late for firsts. Anything that wanted broaching had already been split, boned, licked, and branched. I met you too late for the kind of forgetfulness of youth that makes each day new growth, flesh fresh sprung. But I can imagine the boy you, long-jawed, round-cheeked. I wish I'd seen your first erection, known the fill and push that came as a surprise, like a grin, as you became aware of your sexual barometer, newly testing air for scent and sweat and pulse. I wish I'd known that moment your skin stretched past every previous small baby stiffy to the first time the word man referred to your body. I know the man, all graduated and keen with scientific and educated love. But what is it like? Before the first theorem taught you to listen for breath and learned you vocabulary of moan and need and hunger. You are such a good student of my body and its firm and soft and fight and yield. Such a good student you must have been then, too. Sorry, Andrew. So, how many more about? One more. Okay, good, because I only want to do one more. This is for my daughter. Another one. I'm playing the mommy. When she was born, my daughter was held up, backlit into shadow. Round head, round belly, legs and hands spazzed out, and I am such a nerd. I thought about the word gestalt as in all of her present, as in complete form. She was all there, cunning, a little mean, kind as paper, and running for the walls as soon as possible. 6 months ago, she comes out to me, and her baby silhouette, and I am still a nerd. The word gestalt are my only thoughts again. In the next 6 months, I watch her friends drop her, help her cut her 12 years long hair and dye it bright red. Say no to her piercing her face. And I am such a coward. I want her to wait a week. Drag her toes long enough to get past the grandparents' visit. I pull out the scales of their values, heft the cost of honesty with my parents. Actually, I don't have to weigh shit. I know those scales. I know they'll say confused and doesn't know herself and unnatural. I know those scales, a complete set, the kind that secretly wishes my child dead, the kind that calls out faggot and dyke, the kind that leaves my best friend's head open in the alley, blood all over, gang raped, the kind that translates love into some kind of punishment from God, the kind that says love is not love, but sin. At that moment, when she tells me she is running out into what is still America, from what is still this family, just like the walls she used to race for as a little kid, I remember the form of this person. Now taller than me, smart as fuck, hair awry, legs long, the gestalt of her, and I know, she knows from me, love is love, and she can go running out there as hard as she wants, full force. So thanks for having me. Bye, Buck. You're gonna comment.
Nickname is Swami.
My daughter, your sister.
She was like really Swami.
Yes, her name is Carolyn. Thank you so much for having me. I love you all.
Yay! Louise, you're so good.
All right. Well, we've got a poetry slam. You're up here in a Beatles shirt, and I'm suddenly thinking, wait a second, I've got that same shirt, except mine is a whole lot bigger. But all right, poetry slam. Judge, he's judging. Judge, okay, we got at least 3 judges. Judge, okay, we've got 5 judges. We're good. All right. I think everybody here is familiar enough with Poetry Slam that we don't really need to bother with the sack, right? No, okay. Because that would end up being me. And I'm really tired of reading the same 3 pieces over and over and over. Meatball! All right. Okay, everybody knows the routine. This is a poetry slam. This is the 4-minute, not 3-minute, 4-minute individual qualifier for Lake Effect Poetry. Let's get our first competitor up here, if she's ready.
How is it me again? I signed up for 8. No, I signed up for
Let's get our first and only competitor up here, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Line.
Privilege. It started when I was 10. I wanted to be Native American, Sioux specifically. My name would be Little Rose. I spent every summer day in the sun trying to darken my German skin so I wouldn't see the Holocaust when I looked in the mirror. I was ashamed of my color. I didn't want to look like those who ran this country into the ground. I want no part of slave owners and crusades, of burning so-called witches at the stake. I was 16 when I accepted that my skin would always bear a distinct lack of melanin, but that was okay because I decided I was gay. I shouted from the street corners, "My people are murdered for simply existing." I spent years homeless, hating the rich. I admitted from stage that I was a drug addict. I converted to Islam in post-11 Northeast Ohio. I'm repressed. I'm discriminated against. Watch me struggle and win. I figured if I could make myself other, maybe I could use the friction from society to scrub the blood off my hands. I've spent my life trying on minorities, looking for somewhere to belong, a cause, something to rage against. I'm a rebel for the sake of rebellion. I neglected the fact that hating the color of my skin is still racism, that the only way to rid our society of the various phobias running rampant is not only to accept everyone else exactly as they are, but to accept myself. So here's the truth. The rage has dissipated since I started wearing my own skin. Buying a car now drowns out the death cries of the Iraqis. My country is still trying to help. I'm more concerned about passing my chem tech test than fighting for the basic rights of the transgender community. I've laid down my pickets. I barely write anymore, and my paintings don't leave my bedroom walls. I refuse to watch the news because there is no more room in my heart for granite wall names. I have the ability to distance myself from others' pain because I am freer than most. I have my own apartment and I'm well capable of paying my bills. I grew up Christian. I like boys. I've never been arrested, even when I was caught shoplifting. Cops wave to me when they pass me on the street at 2 a.m. I can bat my eyelashes, wiggle my hips, and get out of almost anything. There is no balance for me when it comes to social injustice. Either it becomes the whole of my identity or I block everything. I don't know how to love without loving so much I self-destruct. How dare I be a straight white woman in America at a time like this? May God forgive me. I've become comfortable in my privilege.
Current favorite, 9.8.
All right. From low to high, we have a score of 8.5, 9.8, and 9.8. Give it up for the poet. And we do have a second poet competing in the slam. Next up, AJ.
Confessions of a One-Time Prostitute. This is not the poem I want my mama to see. Could care less if dad sees it. Let this be one more nail on his coffin, on the childhood he never built, the one we left bricks for him to fill, the one that remains empty. I walked down Detroit like a mad cat in heat that night. I was a hard breeze on the last breaths of summer, August 2007. I was my own high school graduation president, had enough sense to wear sweatpants and a book bag as usual, inconspicuous to the every 12-minute passing officers. His name was Giorgio. At least that's the jumble of syllables he swooned at me. We met at the LGBT Center, the pot where the rainbows crusted into my fingernails. I scratched the walls like a lover's back. Giorgio was a wonder look, half Italian, half black, short curls of night in his scalp, facial hair spun silky and straight, so fucking straight. He showed me all the best places to get picked up, called me cute, said the wolves would love me, smelled the lamb whining in my chest. The better they'll eat you with, my dude. I don't do that bottom shit. I know, bitch, man. I put on my bravest lion dance through purple cheeks. With the ass like that, you ain't tonight. Fuck all that east side nigga shit you think you on. That ass is a cash cow waiting for the butcher. These white motherfuckers got tongues like machetes, my dude. Don't you know shit? That's $50 just to taste your lunch. The first time I saw someone do crack hard was that night. My last $50 was the virgin we sacrificed for this jagged god matrix, these angel wings smoldering in the pipe. Giorgio lures the cars with the fish hooks in his six-pack. We two rotten fish the world has already gutted. I can hear an ocean of everything my mother told me not to be crashing against my ears. Giorgio disappears with a man older than God, and I am left, a cigarette in the mouth of midnight, burning in my lust for anything that is not home, because home is not home when the whole city you live live in is a garbage can. It is very easy to mistake yourself for trash. This artifact of a white man pulls up in a car colored like all the Africa I will never be and offers me a ride. He is begging, a bitch in heat, to melt my chocolate all over his tongue. That ass reminds me of my ex-wife. She had a fat ass. Let me taste it. She never let me taste it. I just want to eat you till the sun comes up. This dream catcher of nut and straight men shame. I jump in his car, half afraid he was going to kill me, half electric with 17-year-old guilt defiance. Soon as I am swallowed by his bed, it is my birthday, and his face is my lap, and my ass is the stripper. His mouth is a preacher on the wrong side of the confessional. My cheeks are his Hail Mary, thick with hallelujahs and God chants. He swallows everything that makes me know I am my father's child, and quick as a cough, the Catholic guilt suffocates the freedom I just felt. My John is gargling all of me out of his mouth with minty fire water, and my dignity is putting his clothes back on. I am racing to dress myself fast. I am clothed and running, but I still feel naked. I don't know why I am crying. I don't know where I am other than the streets, the way a crack addict knows all of the alleys to hide in. I am so wet now. My flooded face busts like a dam with poor table manners, and before I realize it, I am on the street with the sunlight. Everything the darkness births, stillborn and forgotten. My teeth are broken gears. My hair is a black veil I wear to the funeral of my youth. I am 18 in 27 days. I am hollowed and churning. I am all coffee and strength. I am running 115 blocks downtown. I am a bridge to terrible, crumbling, laughing because I was even too dumb to take the money. I didn't want to be what I wasn't. This ass, this fuck me hard now, this ain't no top bitch boy, this you a boy or a girl nigga, this ride my tongue like it was your first bike with no training wheels, take that shit, this only thing I got from my father's jeans, this empty that followed me to my mother's bed, this 20 hours sleep, this empty, oh, god damn it, this empty.
How old are you? 10? Okay, not the youngest judge we've ever had. She told me she was 10. She turned out to be 7. She gave Blair like a 2.1 or something when everybody else was giving her like 9.5s. All right, from low to high, we have a 6.2, a 9.1, and a 9.9. Let's give it up for Akeem. I totally should have been doing math, shouldn't I? All right. Andy had a score of 28.1. Akeem has a score of 25.2. That means tonight's winner is Andy Line. Which, for qualification points, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because Akeem is, as team Grand Slam champion, is already pre-qualified for our IWIPS final. Speaking of, our next individual World Poetry Slam qualifier for Lake Effect Poetry will be August 23rd at the Root Cafe in Lakewood. It's part of the Root and Slam Poetry Show. I do not know who the feature is. Tom Noy will be posting that before too long, I'm sure. That's his regular, he's the MC there. Then our Indie Finals will be held Friday, August 30th. At Polymer City Records, Rubber City Recording Studio in Akron. That's a 65, I think, 65 West Exchange. It's right downtown, right Exchange and Main Street intersection. It's where the Night Murmurs show is now taking place on the third Saturdays. So, Night Murmurs. Not Night with a K Murders, Azrael. Azrael isn't here, by the way. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Louise has a chat book available for all of you not actually here. I'm sure you can hit her up on Facebook and see about getting yourself a copy. There's a Stardust Poetry Show happening back here in 2 weeks. I do not have the features confirmed yet. If you're interested and have something to promote, hit me up. Let me know. I won't be here because I'll be at National Poetry Slam with the team. Our fundraiser last night, we crossed the threshold. We have reached the minimum fundraising that we needed to get the team there. So thank you, everybody who's contributed. Thank you to all our sponsors. And next month's first Friday, which will be, I can't remember the date now. A week after our iWhips final, but we'll have two featured poets, Nikki Allen and Jason. I'm gonna pronounce the name wrong. Baldinger. I'm pretty sure I said that right. I kind of suck at pronouncing names. For people I haven't heard, I don't hear the name all the time. Forgive me if I got that wrong. But anyway, thank you all and have a wonderful night.